This is Nightline, and I'm Liyana Hassanel. The top stories. Urban Renewal Bill to be fine-tuned for inclusive, lasting impact. And Paetongtarn's dismissal. Thailand's main opposition urges next PM to dissolve parliament within the next 4 months. The headlining story. Thailand's main opposition, People's Party, said on Friday that the country's next prime minister must dissolve parliament within the next 4 months. Its leader, Natapong Rengpanyawood, told reporters the party would not join any government, but would support any other parties seeking to form an administration if they met certain conditions, including a move towards amending the constitution before the next election. Natapong said this shortly after Paetongtarn's Shinawat was dismissed as prime minister by a court order earlier. Earlier, Thailand's Constitutional Court removed suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawat from office after finding her guilty of ethical misconduct over a controversial phone call with Cambodia's former leader, Hun Sen. The 9-judge panel ruled that the 39-year-old seriously violated ethical standards when she addressed Hun Sen as uncle and criticized a senior Thai general as an opponent during a border dispute. The court said Paetongtarn put personal interests above national interests, undermining public trust. By a majority vote of 6-3, her ministerial post was terminated, effective immediately. The ruling makes her the 5th prime minister ousted by Thai judges since 2008, throwing the kingdom into uncertainty and raising the prospect of a snap election. Speaking to reporters following her dismissal by the Constitutional Court, Paetongtarn defended her actions during the controversial call with Hun Sen, saying she had acted in the country's best interests. In the meantime, acting Premier Phumtham Wichayachai stressed that Thailand's ruling alliance remains united, and the Pheu Thai Party is confident it will form a government and remain at the core of the coalition. He also said that a prime ministerial candidate would be nominated as soon as possible. He did not name a candidate, but a party official earlier said Pheu Thai would nominate a former Attorney General, 77-year-old Chaikasem Nitisiri. For Azmi Hassan, the sacking of Paetongtarn has plunged Thailand into uncertainty. The geostrategist said the razor-thin majority of the current coalition makes it unlikely to last long.
Since the current coalition headed by Pheu Thai Party has only a very small, thin razor majority of 7 seats, it's going to be very difficult because the situation will be fluid. I think the most probable path that will happen in the next few weeks is that a new general election will be called and to create a new coalition which is much stronger than the current coalition.
However, Azmi noted that despite domestic political changes, relations between Malaysia and Thailand, especially on border matters, are likely to remain steady.
The relationship between Malaysia and Thailand will not change because these are internal politics of Thailand. And usually the government, in terms of foreign policy, in terms of their dealings with their neighbors, will not basically change drastically. The relationship between Thailand and also Kuala Lumpur will remain unchanged, basically will be the same as before this.
The government will further refine the Urban Renewal Bill to ensure the rights and interests of all communities are safeguarded. This was emphasized by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, who rejected opposition claims that the bill undermines the rights of the Malay community or benefits one community over another. The bill tabled by Housing and Local Government Minister Ngah Kor Ming in the Dewan Rakyat on Thursday faced resistance, and its debate has been postponed until October. The pushback came despite the government agreeing to several amendments, including raising the consent threshold for urban renewal projects to 80%.
Kita akan pertahan kepentingan semua kaum, pembangunan terutama bagi menengah M40, B40. Dan ada yang miskin Melayu ramai, ada India miskin beramai, beberapa kawasan, Cina pun ada. Jadi kita tumpu hal yang sedemikian. Soal nilai ambang itu mereka bersetuju untuk naikkan sekitar 80%, tapi mesti ada usaha bangunkan kawasan dan bantu rakyat.
Anwar also criticized those who spoke without having seen firsthand the living conditions of residents in a dilapidated flat, where one room is shared by 6 children. He said in some cases 2 families are cramped into the same space. He emphasized that elected representatives need to be on the ground to witness the situation for themselves in order to fully grasp the harsh realities faced by the people. In the meantime, Barisan Nasional has expressed its appreciation to the government for postponing debate on the Urban Renewal Bill to the next Dewan Rakyat sitting. Its chairman, Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister, said this extra time should be leveraged for comprehensive engagement with stakeholders and other parties. According to Zahid, several provisions need to be refined, particularly the approval threshold for redevelopment projects, the scope of executive powers, and the setting of thresholds that could impact property owners' rights. He warned that these issues could potentially undermine state autonomy and disrupt community stability. The coalition also emphasized the need to broaden consultations with state governments, residents, and communities involved, as well as urban planning experts to ensure that the voices of citizens from all walks of life are taken into account. Motorists using the East Klang Valley Expressway, or EKVE Section 1, will enjoy toll-free passage beginning Saturday. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the toll exemption is applicable in both directions of the newly opened section, stretching from the Sungai Long interchange to the Ampang interchange. Anwar made the announcement on the toll waiver during the official opening ceremony of EKVE Section 1 in Ampang on Friday.
Dan bermula pada 30 Ogos 2025, mulai jam 6 pagi, dari mana-mana plaza tol EKVE, tol akan dikecualikan bermula 30 Ogos 2025, 6 pagi hingga 11.50 malam dan berterusan untuk 30 hari sehingga 30 September.
The newly opened Section 1, which forms part of the Kuala Lumpur Outer Ring Road, spans 24 kilometers and includes 4 interchanges at Sungai Long, Bandar Mahkota Ceras, Hulu Langat and Ampang. Motorists on the highway can expect their journey from Ampang to Kajang to take only 20 minutes compared to using existing routes. The Government Procurement Bill 2025, passed in the Dewan Rakyat on Thursday, does not grant additional powers to the Finance Minister. Treasury Secretary General Datuk Johan Mahmud Murikan emphasized that the bill, which is expected to be fully implemented early 2026, will make government procurement processes more transparent and subject to scrutiny through complaint platforms.
Challenge the decision of the tender boards or even up to the level of ministers' decisions. And in addition to that, which obviously would never happen before, we now have a clear, we call it kesalahan, or under the Government Procurement Act, which even the minister is potentially exposed to if he then commits any offences.
Under the new legislation, the minister cannot award contracts arbitrarily. Such actions can be challenged and reviewed by a third party through the Government Procurement Appeal Tribunal, which is set to be established early next year. Ministers, as well as government staff and retirees, may face penalties if they commit offences under the law. Previously, only civil servants were subjected to disciplinary action. The bill is also guided by international best practices, including those of the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and Singapore. Petronas reported a 19% drop in net profit to 26.2 billion ringgit for the first half of 2025. The weaker performance was largely due to lower global oil prices, coupled with foreign exchange impacts and the divestment of its stake in Engen Group. The company said earnings also tracked lower revenue during the period. Despite this, Petronas' total assets rose to more than 780 billion ringgit. Looking ahead, the national oil company expects oil prices to remain subdued amid geopolitical tensions, global economic uncertainty, and higher output from OPEC member countries. The Malaysia Retail Chain Association, or MRCA, is confident that its collaboration with Media Prima Berhad will pave the way for greater visibility and growth opportunities for its retail members. This is driven by the group's complete repertoire of media-related businesses in television, print, radio, out-of-home media, content creation, digital media, commerce, and advertising.
And your founder is actually...
A 13-member MRCA delegation visited Balai Berita Bangsar on Friday, where they were welcomed by Group Managing Director Datuk Rafiq Razali. MRCA President Datuk Ken Puas said the association has maintained a strategic collaboration with Media Prima for nearly 3 decades, dating back to 1997.
Pemasaran itu kena ada strategi. Jadi perhubungan Media Prima mendorong semua pengusaha adalah sangat penting, dan ini adalah satu resepi yang kita kena adopt lah dalam pemasaran setiap peruncitan pengusaha peruncitan.
He added that Media Prima has many segments that benefit retailers, offering opportunities for collaboration to expand their businesses. The group also supports effective marketing for MRCA's 590 members, especially those operating in the franchise, F&B, retail, and digital sectors. Meanwhile, MRCA expects the retail sector to contribute 8.6% to the country's gross domestic product this year. In June, the sector recorded a 5.8% year-on-year growth. Together with the Entrepreneur and Corporatist Development Ministry, MRCA has set a target to grow the franchise industry specifically, aiming to generate 100 billion ringgit in revenue by 2027.
In a global economy, financial collapse doesn't stop at borders. Discover how Malaysia's new cross-border insolvency law could protect businesses and investments at home and abroad. Azaria Tagaya speaks with Deputy Director General for Law Reforms, Legal Affairs Division, Prime Minister's Department, Tiago Ganesan, and Head of Policy and Legal Division, Malaysia Department of Insolvency, Aniza Muhammad Ali, only on Money Matters this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Indonesian stocks and the Rupiah fell on Friday as escalating political protests in Jakarta rattled investor confidence, while broader Asian markets were subdued ahead of a key U.S. inflation data that could signal Federal Reserve policy direction. The Jakarta Composite Index tumbled as much as 2.3% in early trading, its steepest intraday drop since June 23rd, before paring losses to close down 1.3%. The Rupiah led regional currency decline, slumping 0.95% to 16,495 per dollar, before recovering to trade 0.8% lower following suspected central bank intervention. Tensions in Indonesia mounted on Friday, a day after a motorcycle rider died when he was hit by a police vehicle during violent clashes, after a demonstration outside Parliament over several issues, including lawmakers' pay and education funding. Pedophile ring busted. This and more right after this short break. Stay with us.
Unlocking the future of business.
From industry evolutions to policy changes, we go beyond the headlines.
Deep insights, sharp analysis.
Understanding the forces driving tomorrow's economy.
Key financial insights that drive decisions.
This is Money Matters, every Saturday, 5 p.m.
Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Ada pengorbanan di setiap pilihan sepanjang Ogos ini. Pondok Senja.
Memang tu hajat dia pun.
Pilihan Rozana.
Sejak bila kau buat perangai macam ni?
Mr. Maid, suami ibu. Misi Arjuna. Selimut Merdeka. Berbaloikah semuanya? Cereka pilihan setiap Sabtu 2 petang di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Kadang senagi cuci darah pun, kadang buat motor pun, kadang tak ada minyak. Segi di sini nak makan juga. Kadang orang tu bagi RM5 tengah salam tu kan. Ada orang bagi RM3. Itulah dia. Bantu tolong tanpa-tanpa.
Kadang sampai rumah tu dia darah keluar macam pipe tu. Itu sudah selalu sampai sini macam tu darah.
Keberanian wanita masa kini menongkah arus membentuk makna sebenar kemerdekaan.
Sometimes kita mencintai bukan bererti kita memiliki. Saya suka lelaki yang bijak. Kita mampu mengagumi orang. Tak semestinya dia akan menjadi milik kita.
Kita orang Malaysia ni menggunakan keris sebagai simbol mempertahankan diri. Bukannya untuk bergaduh.
Kita kena masak sampai dia tukar color. Bau pun dah sedap. Dah siap dah. Selamat mencuba.
Lisa!
Korang nampak tak Lisa? Lisa kena baling telur dengan orang.
Kena baling telur?
Cuba try test layan telefilm menarik sempena Hari Kebangsaan di TV3. Confirm syok. Epo 29 Ogos.
Ayah dulu bercita-cita nak jadi pemain badminton yang terkenal.
Selimut Merdeka 30 Ogos.
Atuk sayang sangat benda ini.
Bebaskan anak kita 30 Ogos.
Merdeka!
Radio Atuk 31 Ogos.
Kau jual radio aku.
Ini barulah paling Malaysia bersama TV3.
Demi mempertahan prinsip, keberanian politik dan kesatuan serantau. Memperkukuh ekosistem serantau yang inklusif. Kemerdekaan dan kedaulatan. Bolehkah ASEAN pertahan hak negara kecil? Kupasannya dalam Soal Rakyat bersama tetamu Profesor Madya Dr. Muhammad Mahadi Ismail dan Profesor Dr. Muhammad Mizan Aslam. Sabtu 30 Ogos 5.30 petang hanya di TV3.
Welcome back. A second post-mortem for University Technology Malaysia Reserve Officers Training Unit, or Palapes Cadet, Shamsul Haris Shamsuddin, will be conducted on Saturday. Lawyer Datuk Naran Singh, who represents the family, called on the Attorney General's chambers to consider the request and initiate an inquest to determine Shamsul Haris's cause of death. The exhumation of Shamsul Haris's remains at the Kampung Rinching Hulu Muslim Cemetery in Semenyih began at 8:45 a.m. on Friday and was completed in just over half an hour. The body was then transported to Kuala Lumpur Hospital under tight security. The process was witnessed by 3 forensic experts, the deceased mother, Ummu Haiman B. Daulat Gun, and their lawyer.
Mayat itu dalam keadaan okey, baik setakat ini. Lepas itu mereka bungkus dalam satu bungkusan yang khas yang disediakan oleh PDRM, dan mayat itu akan dibawa ke hospital besar Kuala Lumpur bahagian forensik, dan petang ini akan dijalankan beberapa prosedur. Dan postmortem ditetapkan esok pagi pukul 9 pagi.
Naran reiterated that the family wishes for an inquest to be held following the post-mortem.
Saya harap peguam negara, terutama peguam negara akan mengadakan satu inquest. Must do. Must diwajibkan.
He added that a letter had been sent to the AG's chambers, but that his clients had not received a reply. On Tuesday, the Shah Alam High Court ordered the exhumation after allowing an application by the victim's mother for a second post-mortem. Shamsul Haris, aged 22, died on July 28th at Kota Tinggi Hospital after undergoing training at the Army Combat Training Center in Ulu Tiram. He was buried the following day. A child pornography ring operating on Telegram and the dark web has been dismantled following the arrest of 11 suspects, including its mastermind. Police rescued 2 baby boys and 3 young girls, aged between 2 months and 5 years, who are feared to have been exploited by the group. The prime suspect, a 29-year-old technician, was detained in Oppido, which began on July 19th. Investigators uncovered dozens of videos and hundreds of images of child sexual abuse stored on his mobile phone. Authorities say the suspect lured victims by advertising on Facebook, claiming to offer adoption services and even care for expectant mothers until childbirth.
Dan selepas proses pendaftaran selesai, mak bayi itu akan ditinggalkan. So bayi itu akan dipelihara oleh suspek yang menggunakan bayi-bayi itu untuk memuaskan nafsu dia selain menjual untuk mendapat keuntungan.
Following the initial arrest, 10 more individuals aged between 25 and 60 were detained in Johor, Selangor and Pulau Pinang to assist in investigations. Among them were 2 local women, while the rest were foreign nationals. 174 business premises across 11 states were raided simultaneously this week after they were suspected of selling untaxed cigarettes and liquor illegally. Op Contraband Mega led to the seizure of contraband cigarettes and alcohol worth more than 12 million ringgit. The 2-day operation involved 983 police personnel, supported by 11 customs officers and local council enforcement teams. Other items seized included cooking oil, vehicles, firecrackers, and mobile phones, altogether valued at over 841,000 ringgit. A total of 195 individuals were arrested, comprising 127 Malaysians and 68 foreigners.
Daripada jumlah tersebut, seramai 17 kita telah memberi jamin polis kerana faktor umur. Kerana jumlah tangkapan yang kita buat ada yang bermula daripada umur 17 hingga 72 tahun.
Since January this year, the Internal Security and Public Order Department has carried out 454 operations against contraband, resulting in multiple arrests and the seizure of various goods, including cigarettes and alcohol, worth more than 220 million ringgit. Fury in Jakarta after rideshare driver killed. The details when Nightline returns.
Kadang senagi cuci darah pun, kadang buat motor pun, kadang tak ada minyak. Segi di sini nak makan juga. Kadang orang tu bagi RM5 tengah salam tu kan. Ada orang bagi RM3. Itulah dia. Bantu tolong tanpa-tanpa.
Kadang sampai rumah tu dia darah keluar macam pipe tu. Itu sudah selalu sampai sini macam tu darah.
Keberanian wanita masa kini menongkah arus membentuk makna sebenar kemerdekaan.
Sometimes kita mencintai bukan bererti kita memiliki. Saya suka lelaki yang bijak. Kita mampu mengkagumi orang. Tak semestinya dia akan menjadi milik kita.
Kita orang Malaysia ni menggunakan keris sebagai simbol mempertahankan diri, bukannya untuk bergaduh.
Kita kena masak sampai dia tukar color. Bau pun dah sedap, dah siap dah. Selamat mencuba.
Laporan khas Cerita Ahad, Ogos ini. Warga emas murung selepas kehilangan teman baiknya.
Asyik merayap di rumah orang.
Angkara dendam, remaja nekat menyerang bapanya.
Kau sedar tak? Mak aku mati sebabkan kau.
Sebuah radio lama jadi kunci rahsia silam.
Jual kat kedai terpakai.
Kau jual radio aku.
Kes dibongkar dalam Cerita Ahad di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Kalau tak jumpa ghostnet tu sangat menakutkan sebenarnya.
Ada risiko dia sebab skala besar. Memang akan ada punya ikan yang mati, penyu yang mati. Tak semua kita dapat selamatkan.
Pendekatan dalam Didik TV ini saya lebih gemar penonton melihat kepada keadaan sebenar.
Apa ni murid-murid?
Didik TV ini telah banyak membantu saya terutamanya apabila di fasa-fasa akhir ingin menuju ke peperiksaan SPM.
Kita orang Sarawak, macam-macam aktiviti best minggu kita di studio tonton Drama Sangat. Ada gaya macam ratu, pertandingan ratu etnik Drama Sangat dah tunggu. Untuk adik-adik, tunjukkan bakat mewarna Ejen Ali sambil bergambar dengan maskot Ejen Ali. Yang hati kental, boleh cuba masuk trail rumah hantu. Dan mestilah personaliti media prima dan artis Drama Sangat pun ada. Selfie banyak-banyak, okey? Jumpa kita semua di Carnival Jom Heboh Sarawak, dataran perayaan Petra Jaya Kuching 5 hingga 7 September ini. Jom, jom, jom!
Cuba try test layan telefilm menarik sempena Hari Kebangsaan di TV3. Confirm syok. Epo 29 Ogos.
Ayah dulu bercita-cita nak jadi pemain badminton yang terkenal.
Selimut Merdeka 30 Ogos.
Atuk sayang tengok bendera ni.
Bebaskan anak kita 30 Ogos.
Merdeka!
Radio Atuk 31 Ogos.
Kau jual radio aku.
Ini barulah paling Malaysia bersama TV3.
News from the foreign front. Tensions are rising in Indonesia's capital after students gathered outside Jakarta's police headquarters on Friday, protesting the death of a motorcycle taxi driver who was struck by a police vehicle. President Prabowo Subianto has urged calm and vowed a full investigation into the incident amid growing public discontent over the government's handling of the economy.
Terkejut dan kecewa dengan tindakan petugas yang berlebihan. Saya sudah perintahkan agar insiden tadi malam diusut secara tuntas dan transparan, serta petugas-petugas yang terlibat harus bertanggung jawab.
He added that the government will take the strongest possible action if officers are found to have acted against proper conduct and prevailing regulations. Protests erupted earlier in Jakarta on Thursday following the death of 21-year-old motorcycle taxi driver Afan Kurniawan, who was struck and killed by a Mobile Brigade Corps armored vehicle during a protest outside Indonesia's House of Representatives. Demonstrators comprising students, workers and ride-hailing drivers are demanding justice for Afan, reforms within the national police and the police chief's resignation. They have also voiced frustration over low wages, government spending cuts, and job losses in the textile sector. Clashes intensified as police deployed tear gas and water cannons to disperse crowds on the streets of Jakarta. As tensions escalated, schools dismissed students early, and many banks and businesses moved to remote work arrangements. This marks an early test for Prabowo's administration, which has promised rapid state-led growth aimed at transforming Indonesia into a major global power amid widespread economic unease. Meanwhile, the Malaysian embassy in Jakarta is closely monitoring the latest developments following this week's demonstrations in the Indonesian capital. In a statement on Friday, the embassy advised all Malaysian citizens living or travelling to Jakarta to stay vigilant and to continuously monitor updates from the authorities and media on the protest venues. Malaysians are also urged to avoid protest locations and refrain from participating in any unlawful activities. The Zionist military has begun the initial stages of its offensive on Gaza City as it declared the largest urban center in the besieged territory a combat zone. The military on Friday said it is currently conducting large-scale operations on the outskirts of the city. The announcement comes as the military confirms the suspension of so-called tactical pauses in its attacks on the city in northern Gaza that had previously allowed limited humanitarian operations. Earlier, at least 41 Palestinians, including 6 aid seekers, were killed in attacks across Gaza. Israeli airstrikes reportedly hit the so-called safe zone of Al-Mawasi, west of Khan Yunis, killing at least 5 people and wounding dozens as they slept in tents. Switching to sports, football, the Super League. Negeri Sembilan were forced to share the spoils with Kuching City FC after their match ended in a 2-2 draw, while Sabah FC once again failed to secure their first victory after being held to a 1-1 draw by Melaka FC. Playing at home, Sabah dominated from the first half, but struggled to break the deadlock until the hour mark, when Ajdin Mujahid capitalized on a defensive error by Melaka to put the Rhinos ahead. The match was about to end when Muhammad Irfan Zakaria drew level for Melaka, leaving both teams with a point each. Moving on to badminton, the 2025 World Championships. Making history on the world stage, national shuttlers Pearly Tan and Tina carved their names into Malaysian badminton history by becoming the nation's first women's doubles medalists at the Adidas Arena in Paris on Friday. The world number 2 powered past Bulgaria's Gabriela and Stephanie Stoeva 21-15, 21-10 in their quarter-final clash to guarantee themselves at least a bronze medal. It was their 4th win in 5 meetings against the Stoeva sisters, continuing their dominance after also beating them at the Japan Open last month. Pearly and Tina will take on world number 3 Nami Matsuyama and Chiharu Shida of Japan for a place in the final. That concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at visuals of the final preparations of the 68th National Day celebration. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and be well, Malaysia.